Hey everyone, the goal of this Patreon page and these time-lapse videos and everything that I'm making is to start building a community of people that are interested in this sort of content or other educational material for creating digital art, focusing mostly on Photoshop and 2D work. However, I may also create tutorials and time-lapse videos for 3D stuff, and that would be with Maya. As a patron supporter, you'd be directly supporting the continuing creation of this sort of content, and for your support, I will actually be giving out high-res art files and even my Photoshop work files. When I was starting to learn how to create digital work in Photoshop, some of the best learning material that I ever got my hands on were the Photoshop files of other professional artists. It's a fantastic way to pick apart what they did layer by layer, and how they organize their layers and their files, how to use blend layers, their clipping masks, and all the other various technical things about Photoshop. Additionally, I've set up a Discord server dedicated to people like yourself that enjoy making art and are hungry to learn more about how to achieve what they want to create. I'm happy to do my best to answer questions you may have of how to do something in Photoshop if you aren't able to find the right answer by a quick Google or checking some other YouTube tutorials or anything. The type of content I aim to create will vary pretty drastically. It'll be from original art to fan art, environments, cel-shaded work, digital painted work, and concept art. Those will be my main focuses, but like I said, I may also do some 3D stuff as well. So more specifically about the piece that I'm working on right now, I started in Photoshop with a rough sketch, as you saw in the previous video. I do those pretty quick to try and get like a cool layout, interesting pose, good silhouette, and composition early on. Those are pretty critical to get looking right early so that you don't kind of polish a turd, as you might have heard. I rhymed. So if you can get your layout, your pose, silhouette, composition, and all that, then those are kind of the keys to making something look good in the long run. I mean, if you can even make like a stick figure look cool with minimal detail, then you're off to a pretty good start. Also a disclaimer, I don't do every piece of art like this, especially if I'm doing environment work. If you've been to my ArtStation portfolio page, you'll see lots of environment work that I've done for AAA games. Most of that work is 3D, and the concept art stuff that I've done is more like a photo kit bashing of things. As that's a quick and easy way to work to get something to look cool and get rough ideas out fast. In this video I'm doing more of an illustration really, and it's the style I use for Gaimoria to create really clean sprite sheets for the animations for characters and enemies. So once I finished my sketch, I would drop the opacity down and essentially trace over the top of my sketch with a new layer. I adjust my brush settings to make clean lines with a nice size jitter set to the pen pressure to create lines that almost look like they were done with an ink brush. You can get pretty drastic looks depending on how large of a brush you use and how much pressure you use with your tablet pen. You'll also see me redoing the same line repeatedly, and that's intentional, as when I do clean line work, I want the lines to look a very specific way to feel kind of natural and organic. If my lines are shaky, then it doesn't look really great for this style of illustration. The reason I like to do really clean line work with this approach, as I mentioned with the animation sprite sheets that I used to make, is it makes it much easier to fill in the solid colors to create a clipping mask. I'll talk about that more in the video where I actually show the flats and colors, but it's just a heads up that it makes future work much easier. If you're going for more of a digital painted look, you likely won't be using this process at all. Most digital paintings start with like a rough sketch, and you will paint directly over the lines as opposed to under them, because you don't want your line work to show. I mean, it all varies really, but typically digital paintings will have much less line work than a cel-shaded illustration like this. And in the environment work I do, I typically start out in 3D and bring in high-resolution screenshots or renders that I kick out of Maya into Photoshop to do painting and texture overlays over the 3D shapes. Doing these environment pieces in 3D first helps solidify accurate perspective and lighting and shadows. Those are extremely critical in environments, and they can really take up a lot of your time if you're trying to do it all by hand. So for the sake of efficiency, a lot of professional concept artists are actually pretty skilled 3D artists as well, and will do blockouts in 3D and finish them up in Photoshop. A little tip I can give you about speeding up your workflow isn't about physically working faster. It doesn't mean draw really fast or model really fast. Speed just comes with experience. It's something that naturally happens as you learn how to cut corners and things that are really time consuming, so you can focus more on interesting parts of the work. And really just boils down to that. It's work. It takes effort and patience, learning, humility, ability to take criticism, learning from your mistakes, and most importantly is just never quitting. There's definitely been times where I have had dry spells with personal art, but it's mostly been due to a lot of my creative juice being sucked up with working as a game developer. You put a lot of your mental and creative energy into what you're doing at work, and it's pretty tough to come home and do the same thing after work. However, the nice thing about making time for personal work is it's always the most gratifying. You get to do what you want to do, and you don't have to account for the stress of cooperating in a team to help everyone else's vision come to work together cohesively. I mean, that's a really cool thing about game development, but it's also really difficult, but again, pretty cool as well. That about wraps up what I had to share regarding the Patreon page and kicking off this first art piece time-lapse, and just wanted to thank all of you for your support. I have all the social media info listed in the description, and feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.